The Death of King Arthur. Morte d'Arthur by Sir Thomas Malory. Book 4. You're listening to Classics Made Clear. Classic texts translated with accuracy and accessibility for today's listener. Please like, subscribe, leave a comment, and share these videos with your friends. Chapter 1. After the adventures of Sir Gawain, Sir Tor, and King Pellinore, it happened that Merlin fell deeply in love with a young lady that King Pellinore had brought to court. She was one of the ladies of the lake, and her name was Nimue. Merlin would not leave her alone. He always stayed close to her, and would not give her any peace. But she treated him kindly, so that she could learn from him all the secrets and knowledge she wanted. Merlin was so obsessed with her that he could not stay away from her. At one time, Merlin told King Arthur that he would not live much longer. He said that, despite all his magic, he would be buried alive. He also told the king many things that would happen in the future. He warned Arthur to guard his sword and its sheath carefully, because a woman he trusted most would steal them. Merlin also told Arthur that he would soon lose him, and that he would wish more than anything to have him back again. "Then if you know this will happen," said the king, "use your magic to prevent it." "No," said Merlin, "it cannot be stopped." So Merlin left the king. Soon after, the Lady of the Lake also left, and Merlin followed her wherever she went. Many times Merlin tried to take her away secretly using his magic, but she made him swear that he would never use enchantment on her if he wanted her love. And he agreed. Then they travelled across the sea to the land of Benwick, where King Ban ruled. King Ban was at war with King Claudas. While there, Merlin spoke with King Ban's wife, Queen Elaine, who was a good and beautiful lady. There he also saw her young son, Lancelot. The queen was very sorrowful because of the war King Claudas was bringing against her husband and her lands. "Do not be troubled," said Merlin. "This child within 20 years will take revenge on King Claudas, and all Christendom will speak of it. He will become the most honored knight in the world. His first name is Galahad. That I know well, though now you call him Lancelot." "That is true," said the queen. "His first name was Galahad." "Oh, Merlin," said the queen, "will I live to see my son become such a great man?" "Yes, lady," said Merlin. "On my life you will see it, and you will live many years after." Soon after, Merlin and the lady left. As they travelled, Merlin showed her many wonders, and they came into Cornwall. All the while Merlin kept trying to take her virginity, and she grew very tired of him. She wished she could be free of him, because she feared him, since he was said to be the son of a devil. But she could not get rid of him by any normal means. Then one day Merlin showed her a great marvel, a cave in a rock, made by magic, that lay beneath a large stone. Using her cleverness, she persuaded Merlin to go under the stone to show her the wonders inside. But once he was there, she used her magic to trap him so that he could never come out again, no matter what he tried. And so she left him there and went away. Chapter 2. As King Arthur rode back to Camelot, he held a great feast filled with joy and celebration. Soon after, he returned to Cardoyle. While he was there, news came to him that 5 kings had invaded his land: the King of Denmark, the King of Ireland, who was his brother, the King of the Vale, the King of Solace, and the King of the Isle of Longtanes. These 5 kings had come with a great army, and wherever they went, they burned and destroyed everything before them, cities and castles alike. They killed many people, and it was terrible to hear about. "Alas," said Arthur, "I have not had even 1 month of peace since I was crowned king of this land. Now I will not rest until I meet these kings in open battle. I swear it. My loyal people shall not be destroyed because of my failure. Whoever wishes may come with me, and whoever wishes may stay behind." Then the king sent a message to King Pellinore, asking him to gather as many men as he could as quickly as possible and follow him without delay. Many of the barons were secretly angry that the king was leaving so suddenly, but Arthur would not wait. He sent letters to those who were not present, ordering them to follow him as quickly as they could. Then the king went to Queen Guinevere and said, "My lady, prepare yourself, for you shall come with me. I cannot bear to be away from you for long. Your presence will make me braver, no matter what happens. I will not leave you behind where you might be in danger." "Sir," she said, "I am at your command, and will be ready whenever you are." So the next morning, the king and queen set out with the company they had. They travelled north and came to a forest near the river Humber, where they made camp. When the 5 kings heard that Arthur was near the Humber, staying in a forest, a knight, who was the brother of one of the kings, gave them this advice. "You know well that King Arthur has the finest knights in the world with him. This has already been proven in the great battle he fought against 11 kings, so we must hurry toward him day and night until we are close to him. The longer we wait, the stronger he will become, and we will grow weaker. He is so bold that he has come into the field with only a small force. So let us attack him at dawn, and we will cut them down. Not one of his knights will escape." Chapter 3. The 5 kings agreed to this plan. They marched with their army through North Wales and came upon King Arthur at night. They attacked his camp while the king and his knights were resting in their tents. King Arthur was not wearing armor and had gone to bed beside Queen Guinevere. "Sir," said Sir Kay, "it is not good that we are unarmed." "We will not need it," said Sir Gawain and Sir Griflet, who were in a small tent near the king. Just then they heard a loud noise, and many voices cried out, "Treason! Treason!" "Alas," said King Arthur, "we are betrayed. To arms, my friends." They quickly put on their armor. Then a wounded knight came to the king and said, "Sir, save yourself and the queen. Our army is destroyed, and many of our people are dead." At once the king, the queen, and the 3 knights mounted their horses and rode toward the river Humber to cross it. But the water was rough, and they were afraid to attempt it. "Now you must choose," said King Arthur. "Whether you will stay here and face what happens. If you are captured, they will kill you." "I would rather die in the water," said the queen, "than fall into the hands of your enemies and be killed there." As they were speaking, Sir Kay saw the 5 kings riding toward them alone, each holding a spear. "Look," said Sir Kay, "there are the 5 kings. Let us ride out and meet them." "That would be foolish," said Sir Gawain. "We are only 3, and they are 5. "That is true," said Sir Griflet. "No matter," said Sir Kay. "I will take on 2 of them. You 3 can take the other 3. With that, Sir Kay spurred his horse forward as fast as he could and struck one of the kings with his spear, driving it through the shield and body so deeply that the king fell to the ground dead. Seeing this, Sir Gawain rode at another king and struck him so hard that he pierced his body and killed him. Then King Arthur rode at a 3rd king and struck him through with his spear, and he too fell dead. Sir Griflet then attacked the 4th king and struck him so violently that his neck broke. At once Sir Kay rode at the 5th king and struck him so hard on the helmet that the blow split both the helmet and the head, and the king fell dead. "Well struck," said King Arthur. "You have kept your word with honor, and I will honor you as long as I live." Then they placed the queen in a boat to cross the river Humber. As she went, Queen Guinevere praised Sir Kay for his deeds. "Any lady who does not love you in return would be greatly at fault," she said. "Among all ladies, I will speak of your noble fame, for you made a bold promise and fulfilled it with honor." And so the queen departed. Then the king and the 3 knights rode back into the forest, where they expected to find those who had escaped. There they found most of their people. The king told them that the 5 kings were dead. "So let us stay together until morning," he said. "When their army learns that their leaders are dead, they will be overcome with grief and will not be able to fight." And it happened just as the king said. When the enemy army found their 5 kings dead, they were so full of sorrow that many fell from their horses. Then King Arthur attacked them with a small force, striking on both the left and the right. Almost no one escaped. About 30,000 of the enemy were killed. When the battle was over, the king knelt down and humbly thanked God. Then he sent for the queen, and she soon came. She rejoiced greatly at the victory in that battle. Chapter 4. Then someone came to King Arthur and told him that King Pellinore was only 3 miles away with a large army. "Go to him," said Arthur, "and tell him how we have succeeded." Soon after, King Pellinore arrived with his army. He greeted the king and the people, and there was great joy on all sides. Then King Arthur ordered that they count how many of his men had been killed. They found that a little more than 200 men had died, along with 8 knights of the Round Table who had been killed in their tents. After this, the king ordered that a fine abbey be built on the very place where the battle had been fought. He gave it great wealth and support, and named it the Abbey of the Fair Adventure. But when messengers went to the lands of the 5 kings and told how they had been killed, there was great mourning in those countries. All of King Arthur's enemies, such as the King of North Wales and the other northern kings, were deeply troubled when they heard of the defeat. Then King Arthur returned quickly to Camelot. When he arrived, he called King Pellinore to him and said, "You know that we have lost 8 of the best knights of the Round Table. With your advice, we will choose 8 new ones from among the best we can find here at court." "Sir," said Pellinore, "I will give you the best advice I can. You have many noble knights in your court, both old and young, so I advise that you choose half of them from the older knights and half from the younger." "Which are the older knights?" asked King Arthur. "Sir," said Pellinore, "I think these: King Uriens, who has married your sister Morgan le Fay, the King of the Lake, Sir Hervis de Revel, a noble knight, and Sir Galagaz as the 4th. "That is well decided," said King Arthur. "So it shall be. Now, which are the 4 younger knights?" asked Arthur. "Sir," said Pellinore, "the first is Sir Gawain, your nephew. He is as good a knight for his age as any in this land. The second is Sir Griflet le Fils de Dieu, who is a good knight and eager for battle. If he lives long enough, he will prove himself a great knight. The third, I think, should be Sir Kay the Seneschal, for many times he has done honourably, and in your last battle he showed great courage by taking on 2 kings." "By my head," said Arthur, "he is more worthy to be a knight of the Round Table than any you have named, even if he had done nothing else in his life." Chapter 5. "Now," said King Pellinore, "I will name 2 knights, and you may choose which one is more worthy. They are Sir Bagdemagus and Sir Tor, my son. But because Sir Tor is my son, I should not praise him. Still, if he were not my son, I would say that for his age there is no better knight in this land. He has good character, does not like to do wrong, and does not accept wrong from others." "By my word," said King Arthur, "he is an excellent knight, one of the best you have named today. I know this well, for I have seen what he can do. He speaks little, but he does much. I know no one in this court, if he were as noble on his mother's side as he is on yours, who could match him in strength and skill. So I will choose him now and leave Sir Bagdemagus for another time." So, with the agreement of all the barons, the knights were chosen. Their names appeared in the seats of the Round Table, and each took his place. But Sir Bagdemagus was very angry that Sir Tor had been chosen before him, so he suddenly left the court, taking his squire with him. They rode for a long time through a forest until they came to a cross. There they stopped, got down from their horses, and prayed. While they were there, the squire saw writing on the cross. It said that Bagdemagus would never return to the court until he had won the place of a Round Table knight, one knight's body for another. "Sir," said the squire, "I have found writing about you here. I advise you to return to the court." "I will not return," said Bagdemagus, "until people speak highly of me, and I have proven myself worthy to be a knight of the Round Table." So he rode on, seeking adventures. Along the way he found a branch of a holy herb that was a sign of the Holy Grail. No knight ever found such a sign unless he lived a good and righteous life. As Sir Bagdemagus continued riding in search of adventure, he came to the rock where the Lady of the Lake had trapped Merlin under a stone. There he heard Merlin crying out in sorrow. Sir Bagdemagus tried to help him. He went to the great stone, but it was so heavy that 100 men could not have lifted it. When Merlin knew he was there, he told him to stop trying, because it was useless. He said that no one could free him except the woman who had put him there. So Bagdemagus left and continued on his adventures. In time, he proved himself to be a very good knight. He later returned to the court, and was made a Knight of the Round Table. And the next morning, new news and new adventures arose. Chapter 6. It happened that King Arthur and many of his knights went hunting in a great forest. During the hunt, King Arthur, King Uriens, and Sir Accolon of Gaul chased after a large stag. The three of them had strong horses, and they rode so fast that soon they were 10 miles away from the rest of their company. They chased the stag so hard that, at last, all 3 of their horses collapsed and died beneath them. Now they were on foot, and they could still see the stag ahead of them, very tired and hiding in the bushes. "What shall we do?" said King Arthur. "We are in a bad situation." "Let us go on foot," said King Uriens, "until we can find a place to stay." Then they saw the stag lying on the bank of a great body of water, with a small hunting dog biting its throat, and other hounds coming after it. Then King Arthur sounded the hunting call to claim the stag, and prepared it. After that, the king looked around and saw, out on the water, a small ship. It was covered in silk all the way down to the water. The ship came straight toward them and landed on the shore. King Arthur went to the edge and looked inside, but he saw no person in it. "Sirs," said the king, "come here. Let us see what is in this ship." So all 3 of them went aboard. Inside, they found it richly decorated with silk cloth. By then, it had grown dark. Suddenly, 100 torches appeared all around the ship, lighting it brightly. Then 12 beautiful ladies came out. They knelt before King Arthur, greeted him by name, and welcomed him warmly. They told him he would receive the best hospitality they could offer. The king thanked them kindly. Then they led the king and his 2 companions into a fine room. A table had been set, richly prepared with everything needed. They were served all kinds of food and wine that they could imagine. King Arthur was amazed, for he had never had a better supper in his life. After they had eaten, King Arthur was led to a chamber more richly decorated than any he had ever seen. King Uriens was led to another just like it, and Sir Accolon to a third, equally rich and beautiful. Each of them was put comfortably into bed. Soon they fell asleep and slept deeply through the whole night. In the morning, King Uriens woke up in Camelot, lying in bed beside his wife, Morgan le Fay. He was greatly amazed, because the night before he had been 2 days' journey away. When King Arthur woke up, he found himself in a dark prison, hearing around him the cries and complaints of many sorrowful knights. Chapter 7. "Who are you that complain so loudly?" said King Arthur. "We are 20 knights held here as prisoners," they said. "Some of us have been here 7 years, some longer, and some less." "For what reason?" asked Arthur. "We will tell you," said the knights. "The lord of this castle is named Sir Damas. He is the most false knight alive, full of treachery and a great coward. He has a younger brother, a noble and brave knight named Sir Ontzlake. This traitor, Sir Damas, refuses to give his brother any share of his inheritance, but Sir Ontzlake has kept part of it by his own strength and skill in battle. He holds a rich and beautiful manor, where he lives honorably and is loved by all people. But Sir Damas, our master, is hated because he is cruel, merciless, and cowardly. There has been great war between the two brothers, but Ontzlake always wins. He has often offered to fight Damas one-on-one for their inheritance, but Damas refuses. He was also offered the chance to find another knight to fight in his place. Damas agreed to find a knight, but he is so hated that no knight will fight for him. So when he saw that no one would help him, he began to ambush knights traveling through this land. He captured them and threw them into this prison. That is how he took us, each of us alone during our adventures. Many good knights have died here from hunger, 18 in total. If any of us had agreed to fight his brother Ontzlake for him, he would have freed us. But because Damas is so false and treacherous, we refused to fight for him, even if it meant dying. And now we are so weak from hunger that we can barely stand. God deliver you," said Arthur, "for his mercy." Just then a young lady came to Arthur and asked, "How are you faring?" "I cannot say well," he replied. "Sir," she said, "if you will fight for my lord, you shall be freed from prison. Otherwise you will never escape alive." "That is a hard choice," said Arthur. "But I would rather fight a knight than die in prison. If by this I may free both myself and these prisoners, then I will fight." "Yes," said the lady. "I am ready," said Arthur, "if I have a horse and armor." "You shall lack nothing," she said. "It seems to me," said Arthur, "that I should have seen you before at my court." "No," she said. "I have never been there. I am the lord's daughter of this castle." But this was a lie. She was actually one of the ladies of Morgan le Fay. At once she went to Sir Damas and told him that Arthur had agreed to fight for him. So Damas sent for Arthur. When Arthur came, he looked strong and well built, and all the knights who saw him said it was a pity that such a fine knight had been kept in prison. Then Sir Damas and Arthur made an agreement. Arthur would fight for him, and in return all the prisoners would be set free. Sir Damas swore this oath to Arthur and promised to fight the matter to the end. Then the 20 knights were brought out of the dark prison into the hall and set free. And they all stayed there to watch the battle. Chapter 8. Now we turn to Sir Accolon of Gaul. When he woke up, he found himself lying beside a deep well, so close that he was almost falling in and in great danger of death. From the well there came a silver pipe, and water flowed up high into a marble basin. When Sir Accolon saw this, he crossed himself and said, "Jesus save my lord King Arthur and King Uriens. The ladies on that ship have betrayed us. They were devils, not women. If I escape this danger, I will destroy those false ladies wherever I find them, for they use wicked enchantments." Just then, a dwarf with a large mouth and a flat nose came to him. The dwarf greeted him and said, "I come from Queen Morgan le Fay. She greets you and tells you to be strong, for tomorrow at the hour of prime you must fight a knight. She has sent you Excalibur, King Arthur's sword, and its sheath. She asks you, if you love her, to fight with all your strength and show no mercy, just as you promised her when you spoke privately together. And whichever lady brings her the head of the knight you will fight, she will make that lady a queen, "Now I understand," said Accolon. "I will keep my promise now that I have the sword. When did you last see my lady, Queen Morgan?" "Very recently," said the dwarf. Then Accolon embraced him and said, "Give my greetings to my lady the queen, and tell her everything I promised will be done, or I will die trying." "I see now," said Accolon, "that she has arranged all these enchantments for this battle." "You may be sure of it," said the dwarf. Soon after, a knight and a lady arrived with 6 squires. They greeted Accolon and invited him to come and rest at their manor. So Accolon mounted a spare horse and went with them to a fine manor near a priory, where he was treated very well. Meanwhile, Sir Damas sent word to his brother Sir Ontzlake, telling him to be ready the next morning at the hour of prime to fight in the field against a knight, for he had found someone to fight for him. When Sir Ontzlake heard this, he was very troubled, because he had recently been wounded through both thighs by a spear. Still, even though he was injured, he was willing to fight. But at that time, through Morgan le Fay's plan, Accolon was staying with Sir Ontzlake. When Accolon heard about the coming battle and Ontzlake's wounds, he said that he would fight in his place. The reason he agreed was because Morgan le Fay had sent him Excalibur, and the sheath to use in the fight the next day. Sir Ontzlake was very glad, and thanked Accolon with all his heart for helping him. Then he sent word to his brother Sir Damas that he had found a knight who would be ready to fight in the field at the hour of prime. The next morning, King Arthur was fully armed and ready on horseback. He asked Sir Damas, "When shall we go to the field?" "Sir," said Sir Damas, "you shall first hear mass." So Arthur attended mass. When it was finished, a squire came riding on a great horse and asked Sir Damas if his knight was ready, because their knight was already waiting in the field. Then King Arthur mounted his horse. All the knights and people of that land had gathered there. 12 good men from the country were chosen to stand by and witness the battle. Just as Arthur was ready to ride out, a lady came from Morgan le Fay. She brought him a sword that looked like Excalibur, along with a scabbard, and said, "Morgan le Fay sends you your sword, with great love." Arthur thanked her and believed it was truly his sword. But it was not. It was false. The sword and scabbard were fake, weak, and easily broken. Chapter 9. Then both sides prepared themselves in the field. They charged at each other on horseback with such force that both struck each other in the middle of their shields with their spears. The impact threw both men and their horses to the ground. They quickly got up and drew their swords. While they were fighting, the Lady of the Lake, the same one who had trapped Merlin under the stone, came into the field. She came because she loved King Arthur and knew that Morgan le Fay had arranged for Arthur to be killed that day. So she came to save his life. The 2 knights fought fiercely, striking each other many hard blows. But Arthur's sword did not cut as well as Accolon's. Almost every strike Accolon made wounded Arthur deeply, and it was amazing that Arthur could still stand. His blood flowed heavily. When Arthur saw how much blood covered the ground, he became troubled. He began to suspect treachery, that his sword had been switched. His sword did not cut steel as it once had. He feared he would soon die, because it seemed to him that the sword in Accolon's hand was Excalibur. With every blow Accolon struck, Arthur was wounded. "Now, knight," said Accolon, "defend yourself well against me." But Arthur did not answer. Instead, he struck Accolon so hard on the helmet that Accolon bent down and nearly fell to the ground. Accolon stepped back a little, then rushed forward again, raising Excalibur high. He struck Arthur such a powerful blow that Arthur nearly fell to the ground. Now both of them were angry, and they struck each other many fierce blows. But Arthur kept losing more and more blood, and it was amazing that he could still stand. Still he fought bravely and endured the pain with great courage. Accolon, however, lost very little blood, so he grew stronger and quicker, while Arthur became weaker. Arthur truly believed he might die, yet he kept up his strength and fought as best he could, trying to stay close to Accolon and limit his attacks. Accolon grew more confident because he had Excalibur, and became even bolder. All who watched said they had never seen a knight fight as well as Arthur did, especially considering how much blood he had lost. The people felt great sorrow for him, but the two brothers, Damas and Ontzlake, would not stop the fight. So the two knights continued battling fiercely. At one point, Arthur stepped back a little to rest, but Accolon called out to him, "It is no time for you to rest!" And with that, he rushed at Arthur again. Arthur, angered by his wounds and the blood he had lost, struck Accolon hard on the helmet with such force that Accolon nearly fell to the ground. But at that moment, Arthur's sword broke at the hilt and fell into the grass, stained with blood. Only the handle and pommel remained in his hands. When Arthur saw this, he feared he would die. Still, he held up his shield, stood his ground, and showed no sign of fear. Chapter 10. Then Sir Accolon spoke treacherous words and said, "Knight, you are defeated. You can no longer endure. You have no weapon, you have lost much blood, and I would rather not kill you. Therefore, surrender to me, and admit defeat." "No," said King Arthur, "I cannot do that. I gave my word to fight this battle to the very end. As long as life remains in me, I would rather die with honor than live with shame. Even if I could die 100 times, I would rather die that many times than surrender to you. Though I lack a weapon, I do not lack honor. And if you kill me while I am unarmed, the shame will be yours." "Well," said Accolon, "I will not worry about shame. Defend yourself, for you are a dead man." Then Accolon struck Arthur with such a powerful blow that he nearly fell to the ground. He hoped Arthur would beg for mercy. But Arthur pushed forward behind his shield and struck Accolon with the pommel of his broken sword, so hard that Accolon staggered backward 3 steps. When the Lady of the Lake saw how bravely Arthur was fighting, and how wickedly he had been betrayed, she felt great pity. She could not bear to see such a noble knight destroyed in this way. At the next blow, Accolon struck Arthur again, but through the Lady of the Lake's enchantment, Excalibur suddenly flew from Accolon's hand and fell to the ground. Arthur immediately leaped toward it and seized it. At once, he recognized it as Excalibur. "You have been away from me far too long," he said, "and you have caused me great harm." Then he noticed the scabbard hanging at Accolon's side. He sprang forward, tore it away from him, and threw it as far as he could. "Knight," said Arthur, "today you have done me great injury with this sword. Now your death is near. Before we part, I promise that this sword will repay you just as it has repaid me. You have made me suffer greatly, and I have lost much blood." With that, Arthur charged at him with all his strength and threw him to the ground. Then he tore off Accolon's helmet and struck him on the head so hard that blood flowed from his ears, nose, and mouth. "Now I will kill you," said Arthur. "You certainly can," said Accolon. "If it pleases you, you are the best knight I have ever faced, and I can see that God is with you. But I promised to fight this battle to the very end and never admit defeat while I lived. Therefore, I will never surrender with my mouth. Let God do with my body whatever he wills." Then Arthur began to think that he recognized the knight. "Tell me," said Arthur, "before I kill you, what country are you from, and whose court do you serve?" "Sir Knight," said Accolon, "I belong to the court of King Arthur, and my name is Accolon of Gaul." When Arthur heard this, he was more troubled than before. Then he remembered his sister Morgan le Fay and the enchanted ship. "Oh, Sir Knight," he said, "I beg you, tell me who gave you this sword and how it came into your hands." Chapter 11. Then Sir Accolon thought carefully and said, "Curse this sword, for because of it I have received my death wound." "That may well be true," said the king. "Sir," said Aeaccolon, "I will tell you everything. I have had this sword in my possession for most of the past year. Yesterday, Morgan le Fay, the wife of King Uriens, sent it to me by a dwarf. Her purpose was for me to kill King Arthur, her brother. You must understand that King Arthur is the man she hates most in all the world. She hates him because he is the most honored and most valiant of all her family. Also, she loves me beyond measure as her lover, and I love her in return. If she could have succeeded in killing Arthur through her schemes, she would easily have killed her husband, King Uriens, afterward. Then she intended for me to become king of this land, and for her to become my queen. But now all that is ended," said Accolon, "for I am certain that I will die." "Well," said Arthur, "it seems to me that you truly hoped to become king of this land." "That is true," said Accolon. "It would have been a great evil to destroy your rightful lord," said Arthur. "That is true," replied Accolon. "But now I have told you the truth. Therefore I ask you to tell me who you are, and from what court you come." "O Accolon," said Arthur, "now I will let you know that I am King Arthur, the very man to whom you have done such great harm." When Accolon heard this, he cried out loudly, "Dear Lord, have mercy on me. I did not know it was you." "Oh, Sir Accolon," said Arthur, "you shall have mercy, because from your words I believe that you truly did not know who I was. But I also understand from your own confession that you agreed to my death. Therefore, you are a traitor. Yet I blame you less than I otherwise would, because my sister Morgan le Fay, through her wicked schemes, led you into agreeing to her sinful desires. But if I live, I will take such revenge upon her that all Christendom will speak of it. God knows that I have honored her more than any of my relatives. I have trusted her more than my own wife, and more than all the rest of my family." Then King Arthur called over the judges and witnesses of the combat. "Sirs," he said, "come here. We are two knights who have fought each other to the great injury of us both. Either one of us might easily have killed the other, but if either of us had known who the other was, no battle would ever have been fought, nor would a single blow have been struck." Then Accolon cried out loudly to all the knights and people who had gathered there and said, "My lords, this noble knight whom I have fought, and for which I am deeply sorry, is the greatest knight in the world in courage, manhood, and honor. He is none other than King Arthur himself, our rightful lord and king. Through misfortune and evil chance, I have fought against the very king and lord to whom I owe my loyalty and service." Chapter 12. Then all the people fell to their knees and begged King Arthur for mercy. "You shall have mercy," said Arthur. "Here you can see the strange adventures that often happen to wandering knights. I have fought one of my own knights, and greatly injured both him and myself. But, sirs, because both of us are badly wounded and I need some rest, I will now settle the dispute between these two brothers. As for you, Sir Thomas, for whom I have fought and won this field, I judge against you. You are known as a proud knight, full of wickedness, and your deeds do not match true knightly honor. Therefore, I order that you give your brother the entire manor and all that belongs to it. However, Sir Ontzlake shall hold the manor under you, and shall give you one palfrey horse each year to ride. That sort of horse suits you better than a war horse." The people laughed at this insult. "Also," Arthur continued, "I command you, Sir Damas, under penalty of death, never again to capture or oppress knights who ride in search of adventure. And you shall restore to these 20 knights all the armor and equipment that you took from them, so that they are satisfied. If even one of them comes to my court and complains of you, then on my head you shall die." Then Arthur turned to Sir Ontzlake. "And as for you, Sir Ontzlake, because you are known as a good knight, brave, truthful, and honourable in all your deeds, this is my command. Come to my court as soon as possible. You shall become one of my knights. And if your future deeds match your reputation, then by God's grace I will raise you to great honour, and before long you shall live as nobly and comfortably as your brother Sir Thomas. God reward your generosity and kindness," said Sir Ontzlake. "From this day forward I am your servant and at your command. And sir," he continued, "by God's will I was recently wounded through both thighs by a wandering knight. The wounds troubled me greatly, otherwise I would have fought this battle with you myself." "I wish it had happened that way," said Arthur, "for then I would not be wounded as I am now. I will tell you why. I would not have suffered these injuries if my own sword had not been stolen from me through treachery. This battle was planned beforehand in order to kill me. It was brought about by treason and wicked enchantment." "Alas," said Sir Ontzlake, "it is a great shame that anyone could find it in their heart to betray such a noble man as you, whose deeds and courage are known throughout the land." "I shall repay them soon enough," said Arthur, "with God's help." Then Arthur asked, "How far am I from Camelot?" "Sir," said Ontzlake, "you are 2 days' journey away." "I would gladly stay somewhere honourable and peaceful," said Arthur, "so that I may rest." "Sir," said Ontzlake, "there is a rich abbey of nuns nearby, founded long ago by your ancestors. It is only 3 miles from here." So King Arthur took his leave of everyone and mounted his horse. Sir Accolon rode with him. When they reached the abbey, Arthur ordered physicians to be brought to examine both his wounds and Accolon's. But Sir Accolon died within 4 days. He had lost so much blood that he could not survive. King Arthur, however, recovered well. After Accolon died, Arthur ordered that his body be placed on a horse-drawn bier and escorted by 6 knights to Camelot. Then he said, "Take him to my sister Morgan le Fay. Tell her that I send him to her as a gift, and tell her that I have recovered my sword Excalibur and its scabbard." So the knights departed, carrying Accolon's body to Camelot. Chapter 13. Meanwhile, Morgan le Fay believed that King Arthur was dead. One day she saw her husband, King Uriens, asleep in his bed. She called one of her trusted maidens and said, "Go fetch my lord's sword. I have never seen a better opportunity to kill him than now." "Oh, madam," said the maiden, "if you kill my lord, you will never escape punishment." "Do not worry about that," said Morgan. "I see that this is the perfect time to do it. Hurry and bring me the sword." The maiden left, but first she found Sir Uwaine asleep in another chamber. She woke him and said, "Rise quickly and watch your mother. She intends to kill your father while he sleeps. I am being sent to fetch the king's sword." "Very well," said Sir Uwaine. "Go your way and leave the matter to me." Soon the maiden returned to Morgan with the sword, her hands trembling. Morgan quickly took the weapon, drew it from its sheath, and boldly walked to the king's bedside. She stood there, looking for the best place to strike and kill him. Just as she raised the sword to strike, Sir Uwaine sprang forward and grabbed her arm. "Ah, fiend!" he cried. "What are you doing? If you were not my mother, I would cut off your head with this very sword." Then Sir Uwaine said, "People say that Merlin was fathered by a devil, but I can say that an earthly devil gave birth to me." "Oh, dear son Uwaine," cried Morgan, "have mercy on me. A devil tempted me into this. I beg your forgiveness. I will never do such a thing again. Please protect my honor and do not expose me." "I will forgive you on one condition," said Sir Uwaine. "You must never again attempt such a wicked deed." "No, my son," she said. "I swear to you that I never will." And so Sir Uwaine spared his mother and kept her secret. Chapter 14. News soon reached Morgan le Fay that Accolon was dead, that his body had been brought to a church, and that King Arthur had recovered Excalibur. When Morgan learned that Accolon had died, she was overcome with grief. Her heart nearly burst from sorrow, but she did not want anyone to know how deeply she mourned him, so she hid her feelings and showed no sign of sadness. Still, she knew very well that if she remained where she was until her brother Arthur arrived, her life would be in great danger. So she went to Queen Guinevere and asked permission to travel into the countryside. "You may stay until your brother the king returns," said Guinevere. "I cannot," replied Morgan. "I have received urgent news and must leave at once." "Very well," said Guinevere. "You may go whenever you wish." So early the next morning, before daylight, Morgan mounted her horse and rode all day and most of the night. By noon of the following day she arrived at the same abbey where King Arthur was recovering. Knowing Arthur was there, she asked where he could be found. They told her that he was asleep in his chamber, because he had had very little rest during the previous 3 nights. "Very well," she said. "I command you not to wake him until I do." Then she got off her horse and planned to steal Excalibur. She went directly to Arthur's room. No one dared disobey her order. There she found Arthur asleep in bed, holding the naked sword Excalibur in his right hand. When she saw this, she was greatly disappointed, because she could not take the sword without waking him, and she knew that if he woke and caught her, she would likely die. So instead, she took Excalibur's scabbard and left on horseback. When Arthur awoke and discovered the scabbard was missing, he became furious. He asked who had entered his room. They answered, "Your sister, Queen Morgan, came here. She hid the scabbard beneath her cloak and rode away." "Alas," said Arthur, "you have guarded me poorly." "Sir," they replied, "we dared not disobey your sister's command." "Ah," said Arthur, "bring me the best horse that can be found. Tell Sir Ontzlake to arm himself immediately. Let him take another good horse and ride with me." At once Arthur and Sir Ontzlake armed themselves and rode after Morgan. Soon they came to a crossroads and found a cowherd. "Good man," they asked, "has a lady ridden this way?" "Yes, sir," said the cowherd. "Not long ago a lady passed by with 40 horsemen. She rode into that forest." Then Arthur and Ontzlake spurred their horses and followed as quickly as they could. Before long, Arthur caught sight of Morgan and began chasing her at full speed. When Morgan saw Arthur pursuing her, she rode even faster through the forest until she reached an open plain. When she realized she could not escape, she rode to a nearby lake and said, "Whatever happens to me, my brother shall never have this scabbard." Then she threw the scabbard into the deepest part of the lake. Because it was heavy with gold and precious stones, it quickly sank to the bottom. Afterward she rode into a valley filled with large stones. Seeing that Arthur was about to catch her, she used enchantment to transform herself, her horse, and her companions into great blocks of marble. Soon Arthur and Sir Ontzlake arrived. Arthur recognized the place where his sister and her company had been, but now all he could see were the strange marble stones. "Ah," said the king, "here you may see the judgment of God, and now I am sorry that this misfortune has happened." Then he searched for the scabbard, but it could not be found. So Arthur returned to the abbey. As soon as he had gone, Morgan ended the enchantment. She and all her companions returned to their normal forms. Then she said, "Sirs, now we may go wherever we please." Chapter 15. Then Morgan said to her knights, "Did you see my brother Arthur?" "Yes," they answered, "very clearly, and if we had been able to move from where we stood, you would have found us gone. By the fierce look on his face, he would have made us flee." "I believe you," said Morgan. Soon afterward, as she rode along, she met a knight leading another knight before him on horseback. The second knight was bound hand and foot and blindfolded. Morgan asked, "What do you intend to do with that knight?" "Lady," he replied, "I am going to drown him." "For what reason?" "Because I found him with my wife, and after I drown him, she shall suffer the same death." "That would be a great pity," said Morgan. Then she turned to the prisoner and asked, "Knight, is what he says about you true?" "No, truly, lady," said the prisoner. "He falsely accuses me." "Where do you come from?" Morgan asked. "And what is your name?" "I belong to King Arthur's court," he replied. "My name is Manassen, and I am a cousin of Accolon of Gaul." "You have spoken well," said Morgan. "For Accolon's sake I will save you. Instead, your enemy shall be put into the same condition you are in." So Manassen was untied, and the other knight was bound hand and foot. Manassen then removed the other knight's armor and armed himself with it. He mounted a horse, placed the bound knight before him, rode to the fountain, and threw him into the water, where he drowned. Afterward, Manassen returned to Morgan and asked, "Do you wish me to carry any message to King Arthur?" "Yes," said Morgan. "Tell him that I rescued you, not for love of him, but for love of Accolon. Tell him that I do not fear him as long as I can transform myself and my companions into the likeness of stones, and let him know that I can do far more than that whenever I choose." Then Morgan departed into the land of Gore, where she was warmly welcomed. She strengthened her castles and towns with great defences, because she always feared King Arthur. After King Arthur had rested well at the abbey, he rode back to Camelot. His queen and all his barons were very happy to see him return. When they heard the story of his strange adventures, they were amazed by Morgan le Fay's treachery. Many knights said she deserved to be burned. Then Manassen came to court and told Arthur everything that had happened. "Well," said the king, "she is truly a remarkable sister. If I live, I shall take such revenge upon her that all Christendom will speak of it." The next morning, a lady arrived from Morgan le Fay. She brought with her the richest cloak anyone at court had ever seen. It was covered from top to bottom with precious jewels, set so closely together that one stone almost touched the next. They were the finest gems King Arthur had ever seen. The lady said, "Your sister sends you this cloak and asks that you accept it as a gift. And for whatever wrong she has done against you, she is willing to make amends in whatever way you wish." When Arthur saw the cloak, he admired it greatly, but he said very little. Chapter 16. Just then the Lady of the Lake came to King Arthur and said, "Sir, I must speak with you privately." "Speak freely," said the king. "Sir," she said, "do not put on this mantle until you have tested it. Under no circumstances should you wear it, nor should any of your knights. Instead, command the lady who brought it to put it on first." "Very well," said King Arthur. "I will follow your advice." Then he turned to the lady who had brought the gift from Morgan le Fay and said, "Lady, before I wear this mantle, I wish to see it on you." "Sir," she replied, "it is not fitting for me to wear a king's garment." "By my head," said Arthur, "you shall wear it before it touches my back or the back of any man here." So the king ordered that the mantle be put upon her. The moment she put it on, she fell down dead. She never spoke another word. Her body burst into flames and burned to ashes. Then the king became even angrier than before. He turned to King Uriens and said, "Your wife, my sister, is always plotting to destroy me. And I know well that either you or your son, my nephew, must be helping her in these schemes. But as for you, King Uriens, I do not greatly suspect you. Accolon himself confessed to me that Morgan intended to kill you as well as me. Therefore, I excuse you. But as for your son, Sir Uwaine, I still suspect him. Therefore I command that he be removed from my court." So Sir Uwaine was banished. When Sir Gawain heard this, he immediately prepared to leave with him. "Whoever banishes my first cousin," said Gawain, "banishes me as well." So the two knights left together and rode into a great forest. Eventually they came to an abbey of monks, where they were welcomed and given lodging. When King Arthur learned that Sir Gawain had also left the court, there was great sorrow throughout the kingdom. Then Gaheris, Gawain's brother, said, "Now we have lost 2 good knights because of one." The next morning, Gawain and Uwaine heard mass at the abbey and then continued their journey. They rode until they came to a large forest. There Sir Gawain noticed a tower standing in a valley. Nearby were 12 beautiful ladies and 2 armed knights mounted on great horses. The ladies walked back and forth around a tree. Then Gawain saw that a white shield hung from the tree. Every time the ladies passed by it, they insulted it. Some spat upon the shield, while others threw mud at it. Chapter 17. Sir Gawain and Sir Uwaine rode up to the ladies, greeted them, and asked why they were treating the shield with such disrespect. "Sir," said the ladies, "we will tell you. The knight who owns that white shield lives in this country. He is an excellent warrior, but he hates all ladies and noblewomen. Therefore, we show his shield this contempt." "I will say this," said Sir Gawain. "It does not seem right for a good knight to despise all ladies and gentlewomen. But perhaps he has some reason for it. And perhaps, although he dislikes some ladies, he loves others elsewhere and is loved by them in return, if he is truly as valiant as you say." "Now tell me," said Gawain, "what is this knight's name?" "Sir," they answered, "his name is Sir Marhaus, the son of the King of Ireland." "I know him well," said Sir Uwaine. "He is one of the finest knights alive. I once saw him at a tournament where many great knights were gathered, and at that time no man could stand against him." "Ah," said Sir Gawain. "Ladies, I think you are in the wrong. It is likely that the knight who hung that shield there is not far away. If your knights wish to challenge him, let them meet him honorably on horseback. That would bring you more honor than insulting his shield. As for me, I will not stay and watch a knight's shield be dishonored." With that, Sir Gawain and Sir Uwaine rode a short distance away. Soon they saw Sir Marhaus himself riding toward them on a great horse. The moment the 12 ladies saw him, they fled into the tower in terror, almost as if they were wild animals. Some of them even stumbled and fell as they ran. Then one of the 2 knights from the tower took up his shield and shouted, "Sir Marhaus, defend yourself!" The 2 knights charged at each other. The tower knight shattered his spear against Sir Marhaus, but Marhaus struck him so hard that he broke both the knight's neck and the horse's back. When the second knight of the tower saw this, he prepared himself and charged at Marhaus as well. They met with great force, but the outcome was no different. Sir Marhaus struck him down so powerfully that both horse and rider fell dead to the ground. Chapter 18. Then Sir Marhaus rode to his shield and saw that it had been dirtied and dishonored. "Part of this insult has now been avenged," he said. "But for the love of the lady who gave me this white shield, I will continue to wear it and hang my own shield where this one was." So he hung the white shield around his neck. Then he rode straight to Sir Gawain and Sir Uwaine and asked them what they were doing there. They answered that they had come from King Arthur's court in search of adventures. "Well," said Sir Marhaus, "here I am, a knight ready to undertake whatever adventure you desire." Then he rode away a short distance to prepare himself. "Let him go," said Sir Uwaine to Sir Gawain. "He is one of the finest knights alive. I would rather not fight him." "No," said Sir Gawain. "That would bring us shame. No matter how great a knight he is, we should test ourselves against him." "Well," said Sir Uwaine, Then I will face him first. I am weaker than you. If he defeats me, you may avenge me." So the two knights charged at each other with great force. Sir Uwaine struck Sir Marhaus so hard that his spear shattered against Marhaus's shield. But Sir Marhaus struck back with such power that he threw both horse and rider to the ground and wounded Sir Uwaine on his left side. Then Sir Marhaus turned toward Sir Gawain with his spear ready. When Sir Gawain saw him coming, he lowered his shield and prepared his lance. They charged together with all the strength of their horses. Each struck the other in the center of the shield. Sir Gawain's spear broke, but Sir Marhaus's held firm. The blow threw Sir Gawain and his horse to the ground. Gawain quickly jumped to his feet, drew his sword, and prepared to fight on foot. When Sir Marhaus saw this, he also drew his sword, but remained on horseback as he approached. "Sir Knight," said Gawain, "dismount, or I will kill your horse." "Thank you," said Sir Marhaus. "Your courtesy reminds me of what is right. It is not fitting for one knight to fight on foot while the other remains on horseback." So Sir Marhaus leaned his spear against a tree, dismounted, tied up his horse, raised his shield, and advanced. The two knights came together fiercely and struck one another so hard with their swords that their shields were broken into pieces. They dented each other's helmets, damaged their armor, and wounded one another severely. But after 9 o'clock in the morning, Sir Gawain began to grow stronger and stronger. As noon approached, his strength increased until it was 3 times greater than normal. Sir Marhaus noticed this, and was amazed at how much stronger Gawain had become. Even so, they continued fighting and wounded each other badly. After noon, however, as the day wore on and evening approached, Gawain's strength began to fade. He grew weaker and weaker until he could hardly continue. Meanwhile, Sir Marhaus seemed to grow stronger and stronger. Then Sir Marhaus said, "Sir Knight, I have felt that you are one of the finest knights and strongest men I have ever faced, while your strength lasts. But our quarrel is not serious, and it would be a shame to do you greater harm, for I can feel that you have become very weak." "Ah," said Sir Gawain, "you have spoken the very words that I was about to say." Then they removed their helmets and kissed one another in friendship. There they swore to love each other as brothers. Sir Marhaus invited Sir Gawain and Sir Uwaine to stay at his house that night. So they mounted their horses and rode together toward Sir Marhaus's home. As they travelled, Sir Gawain said, "Sir Knight, I am surprised that such a noble man as you is said to hate ladies and maidens." "Sir," replied Sir Marhaus, "those who say that speak falsely of me. I know well that it is the ladies from that tower, and others like them, who spread such stories. I will tell you why I dislike them. Many of them are sorceresses and enchantresses. A knight may be as brave and valiant as any man alive, yet they will use magic to turn him into a coward so that they can gain power over him. That is the chief reason I hate them. But to all good ladies and noble women I gladly owe my service, just as every true knight should." As the French book tells the story, there were many knights who could defeat Sir Gawain, despite the special strength he received at noon. These 6 knights were stronger than he was: Sir Lancelot du Lake, Sir Tristram, Sir Bors de Ganis, Sir Percival, Sir Pelleas, Sir Marhaus. These 6 knights all had the advantage over Sir Gawain in battle. Soon afterward, they arrived at Sir Marhaus's home, which was near a small priory. There they got off their horses, and ladies and maidens helped remove their armor and quickly treated their wounds, for all 3 knights had been injured. They were given excellent lodging and hospitality. When Sir Marhaus learned that Gawain and Uwaine were the sons of King Arthur's sister, he honored them as much as he could. They stayed there for a week and recovered well from their wounds. At last it was time to leave. "We shall not part so quickly," said Sir Marhaus. "I will guide you through the forest." So they rode together day after day for nearly a week without finding any adventure. Finally, they came into a great forest called the Forest of Arroy, a land famous for strange adventures. "In this country," said Sir Marhaus, "no knight has entered since it became Christian without finding some remarkable adventure." They continued riding until they came to a deep valley filled with stones. Nearby they saw a beautiful stream. At the source of the stream was a lovely fountain, and beside it sat 3 maidens. The knights rode up to them and exchanged greetings. The oldest maiden wore a crown of gold upon her head. She was 60 years old, or more, and her white hair could be seen beneath the crown. The second maiden was about 30 years old and wore a golden circlet around her head. The third maiden was only 15 years old and wore a garland of flowers. After looking at them for a while, the knights asked why they sat beside the fountain. "We are here for this reason," said the maidens. "Whenever wandering knights pass by, we guide them toward adventures. You are 3 knights seeking adventures, and we are 3 maidens. Therefore, each of you must choose one of us. After you have chosen, we will lead you to 3 different roads. Each knight must take one road, with his chosen maiden as guide. 1 year from today you must all meet here again, if God grants you life. You must each give your word that you will do so." "That is well spoken," said Sir Marhaus. Chapter 19. "Now each of us must choose a maiden," said Sir Uwaine. "I will tell you my choice. I am the youngest and weakest of the 3 of us. Therefore, I will take the oldest maiden. She has seen many things and can best help me when I am in need, and I need more help than either of you." "Very well," said Sir Marhaus. "I will take the maiden who is 30 years old, for she seems best suited to me." "Well," said Sir Gawain, "I thank you both, for you have left me the youngest and fairest maiden, and she pleases me most." Then each maiden took hold of her knight's horse by the reins and led him to the place where the 3 roads divided. There the 3 knights swore an oath that, if they were still alive, they would meet again at the fountain exactly 1 year later. Then they kissed one another goodbye and parted ways. Each knight placed his maiden behind him on his horse. Sir Uwaine took the western road, Sir Marhaus took the southern road, Sir Gawain took the northern road. Now the story turns to Sir Gawain. He followed his road until he came to a fine manor owned by an old knight who was a good and generous host. Sir Gawain asked him, "Do you know of any adventures in this land?" "Yes," said the old knight. "Tomorrow I will show you some, and they are most remarkable." So the next morning they rode into the Forest of Adventures and came to an open meadow. Nearby stood a cross. As they waited there, they saw approaching the most handsome knight and noble-looking man they had ever seen. Yet he was grieving more deeply than any man they had ever witnessed. When the knight saw Sir Gawain, he greeted him and said, "May God grant you great honor and glory." "For that," said Sir Gawain, "I thank you, and I pray that God grants you honor and glory as well." "Ah," said the knight, "I can put such hopes aside, for after honor and glory come sorrow and shame to me." Chapter 20. Then the sorrowful knight rode to one side of the meadow. On the other side, Sir Gawain saw 10 knights standing together, ready with their shields and spears, waiting for the lone knight who had just passed by. The knight lowered his spear and charged. One of the 10 knights rode out to meet him, but the sorrowful knight struck him so hard that he was thrown over the back of his horse. Then the same knight attacked the others. With a single spear, he knocked down every one of the 10 knights, throwing both horse and rider to the ground. When all 10 knights were on foot, they surrounded him. The lone knight stood perfectly still and allowed them to pull him from his horse. They tied his hands and feet, bound him beneath his horse's belly, and led him away. "Good Jesus!" said Sir Gawain. "This is a sorrowful sight. That knight has been treated shamefully. It seems he allows them to bind him, for he makes no effort to resist." "No," said his host, "that is true. If he wished, all 10 of them would be too weak to do this to him." Then the maiden who was with Sir Gawain said, "Sir, it would bring you honor to help that sorrowful knight. He seems to me one of the finest knights I have ever seen." "I would help him," said Gawain, "but it appears he does not want help." "Then it seems to me," said the maiden, "that you have little desire to help him." As they were speaking, they saw a knight come from the other side of the meadow. He was fully armed except for his head. Then a dwarf rode up from another direction. He too was armed except for his head. He had a large mouth and a short nose. When the dwarf came near, he asked, "Where is the lady who was supposed to meet us here?" Just then the lady stepped out of the woods. Immediately the knight and the dwarf began arguing over her. "I will have her," said the knight. "No," said the dwarf, "I will have her." "Shall we settle this fairly?" asked the dwarf. "There is a knight by that cross. Let us put the matter before him, and whatever he decides shall stand." "I agree," said the knight. So the knight, the dwarf, and the lady went to Sir Gawain and explained their dispute. "Well, sirs," said Gawain, "will you both accept my judgment?" "Yes," they both answered. Then Gawain said to the lady, "You shall stand between these two. Whichever one you prefer, you may go to him, and he shall have you." The lady stood between them, then immediately left the knight and went to the dwarf. The dwarf took her and rode away singing happily. The knight rode away in great sorrow. Soon afterward, 2 fully armed knights arrived and shouted, "Sir Gawain, knight of King Arthur, prepare yourself at once and joust with me." The 2 charged one another, and both were thrown to the ground. They quickly got up, drew their swords, and fought fiercely. While they were fighting, the other knight spoke to the maiden who had been with Gawain. "Why do you remain with that knight?" he asked. "If you will stay with me, I will be your faithful knight." "With you I will gladly stay," said the maiden. "I no longer wish to remain with Sir Gawain. Earlier today we saw one knight defeat 10 others, yet afterward he was shamefully led away like a coward. Therefore let us leave while they are fighting." So the knight and the maiden departed. Meanwhile Sir Gawain fought a long battle with his opponent, but eventually they made peace and ended the fight. Then the knight invited Gawain to stay at his house that night. As they rode together, Gawain asked, "Who is that knight in this country who defeated the 10 knights? After fighting so bravely, why did he allow himself to be tied hand and foot and led away?" "Ah," said the knight, "I believe he is the best knight in the world and the most valiant man alive. What you saw today has happened to him more than 10 times before. His name is Sir Pelleas. He loves a great lady of this country named Ettarde. Some time ago, a great tournament was announced here that lasted 3 days. All the knights and noble ladies of the land attended. The knight judged to be the best would receive a magnificent sword and a golden circlet. The winner was to give the circlet to the fairest lady present. Sir Pelleas proved himself the finest knight there. More than 500 knights took part, yet every knight he faced was either knocked from his horse or defeated. During each of the 3 days, he unhorsed 20 knights. So he won the prize. Immediately afterward, he rode to Lady Ettarde, gave her the golden circlet, and publicly declared that she was the fairest lady at the tournament. And he swore that he would prove it against any knight who dared deny it. Chapter 21. Sir Pelleas chose Lady Ettarde as the one lady he would love above all others. He swore that he would never love any other woman. But Lady Ettarde was very proud. She despised him and said she would never love him, even if he died for her. Because of this, many ladies and noblewomen looked down on her. There were women more beautiful than she was, and not one of them would have refused Sir Pelleas if he had offered them his love, because of his noble character and great skill in battle. Yet Sir Pelleas remained faithful to her. He promised Lady Ettard that he would follow her into this country and never leave until she loved him. And so he stayed near her almost all the time, lodging at a nearby priory. Every week she sent knights to fight him. Whenever he defeated them, he would deliberately allow them to take him prisoner, simply so that he could see Lady Ettard. And she treated him cruelly. Sometimes she ordered her knights to tie him to a horse's tail. Other times she had him bound beneath a horse's belly. She thought of every humiliating way possible to have him brought before her. She did all this hoping he would leave the country and stop loving her, but nothing could make him go away. For if he had chosen to fight seriously, he could have defeated those 10 knights on foot just as easily as on horseback. "Alas," said Sir Gawain, "I greatly pity him." Then he added, "Tomorrow I will seek him out in this forest and do everything I can to help him." The next morning Sir Gawain took leave of his host, Sir Carados, and rode into the forest. At last he found Sir Pelleas, who was grieving more than ever. They greeted one another, and Gawain asked why he was suffering such sorrow. Then Sir Pelleas told him the whole story again. "I allow her knights to treat me as you saw yesterday," he said, "because I hope that one day I will win her love. She knows very well that none of her knights could defeat me if I truly wished to fight them with all my strength. If I did not love her so deeply, I would rather die 100 times, if that were possible, than suffer such shame. But I keep hoping that eventually she will pity me. Love causes many good knights to endure suffering in order to gain what they desire. Alas, I am an unfortunate man." Then he began grieving so deeply that he could hardly stay seated on his horse. At last Sir Gawain said, "Stop mourning. I promise you, on my honor as a knight, that I will do everything in my power to help you win your lady's love. I give you my word." "Ah," said Sir Pelleas, "from what court do you come? Please tell me, good friend." Sir Gawain answered, "I am from the court of King Arthur. My mother was his sister, and my father was King Lot of Orkney. My name is Sir Gawain." Then Sir Pelleas said, "My name is Sir Pelleas. I was born in the Isles, and I am lord over many islands. Never before have I loved any lady or maiden until now, and unfortunately it happened at a very unhappy time. And Sir Knight, because you are so closely related to King Arthur and are the son of a king, I beg you, do not betray me, but help me. I can never reach Lady Ettard except through the help of some noble knight. She lives in a strong castle less than 4 miles from here, and she rules all this country. The only way I can come into her presence is by allowing her knights to capture me. If I had not done so, I would have died long ago from longing for her. Yet she has never spoken one kind word to me. Whenever I am brought before her, she insults me in the cruelest way. Then they take my horse and armor and throw me out through the gates. She will not even allow me food or drink. I have often offered to remain her prisoner forever, but she refuses even that. And yet I would gladly suffer any pain if only I could look upon her face every day." "Well," said Sir Gawain, "I can fix all this, if you will follow my plan. Give me your horse and your armor. I will ride to her castle pretending to be you. I will tell her that I have slain Sir Pelleas. In this way I will gain entry into her castle and cause her to welcome me. Then I will do my best to make certain that you win her love." Chapter 22. Then Sir Gawain gave Sir Pelleas his word of honor that he would be true and faithful to him. Sir Pelleas also gave his word in return. After that they exchanged horses and armor. Sir Gawain rode away and came to the castle where Lady Ettard's pavilions stood outside the gate. As soon as Lady Ettard saw him approaching, she hurried toward the castle, thinking he was Sir Pelleas. Sir Gawain called out loudly, "Stay, lady, I am not Sir Pelleas. I am another knight, and I have slain Sir Pelleas." "Remove your helmet," said Lady Ettard, "so that I may see your face." When she saw that he was not Sir Pelleas, she invited him to dismount and led him into her castle. Then she asked whether he had truly killed Sir Pelleas. "Yes," he said. "My name is Sir Gawain, of King Arthur's court, and I am the son of his sister." "Truly," she said, "it is a pity that Sir Pelleas is dead, for he was a very noble knight. Yet of all men alive I hated him most, because I could never rid myself of him. But since you have slain him, I will be your lady and do whatever I can to please you." So she treated Sir Gawain with great kindness. Then Sir Gawain said, "I love a certain lady, but she refuses to love me." "She is greatly at fault," said Ettard, "if she will not love you. A man of such noble birth and great valor as you deserves the love of any lady in the world." "Will you promise me," said Gawain, "by your honor, that you will do everything you can to help me win the love of this lady?" "Yes, sir," she replied. "I promise it upon my honor." "Then," said Sir Gawain, "it is you whom I love. Therefore I ask you to keep your promise." "I cannot refuse," said Lady Ettard, "unless I wish to break my word." And so she agreed to grant him what he desired. It was then the month of May. Lady Ettard and Sir Gawain went outside the castle and had supper in a pavilion. A bed had been prepared there, and they spent the night together in that pavilion. In another pavilion slept her maidens, and in a third pavilion stayed some of her knights, for she no longer feared Sir Pelleas. Sir Gawain remained there with Lady Ettard for 2 days and 2 nights. On the third morning Sir Pelleas armed himself. He had not slept at all since Sir Gawain had left him, because Gawain had promised to return to him at the priory within a day and a night. At last Sir Pelleas mounted his horse and rode to the pavilions outside the castle. In the first pavilion he found 3 knights sleeping in 3 beds, with their squires lying at their feet. Then he went to the second pavilion and found 4 noble ladies sleeping in 4 beds. Finally, he entered the third pavilion. There he found Sir Gawain lying asleep beside Lady Ettard, with each holding the other in their arms. When Sir Pelleas saw this, his heart nearly broke from sorrow. "Alas," he said, "that any knight should prove so false." Then he mounted his horse and rode away, unable to bear the sight. But after riding nearly half a mile, he turned back, thinking to kill them both. When he returned and saw them still sleeping peacefully, he was so overcome with grief that he could hardly stay in the saddle. Yet he said to himself, "Though this knight has betrayed me, I will never kill a man while he sleeps. I will not dishonor the noble order of knighthood." So he turned away once more. But before he had gone half a mile, he returned again, still grieving more deeply than any man could imagine, and again considered killing them both. When he reached the pavilions, he tied his horse to a tree, drew his sword, and walked to where they slept. Even then, he decided it would be shameful to kill sleeping people. Instead, he laid his naked sword across both their throats as a sign that he had spared their lives. Then he took his horse and rode away. When Sir Pelleas returned to his own pavilion, he told his knights and squires everything that had happened. Then he said to them, "For the faithful service you have given me, I will leave all my possessions to you. As for me, I will go to my bed and never rise again until I am dead. And when I die, I command you to cut the heart from my body and carry it to Lady Ettard between 2 silver dishes. Tell her that I saw her lying with the false knight Sir Gawain." Then Sir Pelleas removed his armor and lay down in his bed, grieving and mourning more deeply than ever. When Sir Gawain and Lady Ettard awoke, they found a naked sword lying across both their throats. At once Ettarde recognized it as Sir Pellias's sword. "Alas!" she cried, "you have betrayed both me and Sir Pellias. You told me that you had killed him, but now I know he still lives. If Sir Pellias had been as dishonorable toward you as you have been toward him, you would now be a dead knight. You have deceived me and betrayed me. Let all ladies and maidens learn from your conduct, and beware of trusting men such as you." With that, Sir Gawain dressed himself and rode away into the forest. Soon afterward, the Lady of the Lake, Nimue, met one of Sir Pellias's knights wandering through the forest on foot, weeping bitterly. She asked him why he was so sad. The knight told her how his lord had been betrayed by a knight and a lady, and how Sir Pellias had sworn never to rise from his bed again until he died. "Take me to him at once," said Nimue. "I promise you that he shall not die of love, and the woman who has caused him such suffering shall soon be in as miserable a condition as he is now. For there is no joy in a proud lady who shows no mercy to such a noble knight." The knight immediately led her to Sir Pellias. When Nimue saw him lying in bed, she thought she had never seen a more handsome and worthy knight. Then she cast an enchantment upon him, causing him to fall into a deep sleep. Afterward she rode to Lady Ettarde and brought her back with her. Before leaving, she commanded everyone not to wake Sir Pellias until she returned. Within 2 hours Nimue brought Ettarde to the place where Pellias lay sleeping. "Look," said Nimue, "you ought to be ashamed for driving such a noble knight toward death." Then she cast another enchantment, this time upon Lady Ettarde. Immediately Ettarde fell deeply in love with Sir Pellias. Her love was so strong that she almost lost her senses. "O Lord Jesus!" cried Ettarde. "What has happened to me? I now love the very man whom I hated more than anyone else in the world. That is the righteous judgment of God," said Nimue. At that moment Sir Pellias awoke and looked at Lady Ettarde. He immediately recognized her, but now the enchantment had reversed his feelings. Instead of loving her, he hated her more than any other woman alive. "Away from me, traitress," he said. "Never come into my sight again." When Lady Ettarde heard those words, she burst into tears and grieved beyond measure. Chapter 23. "Sir Pellias," said the Lady of the Lake, "take your horse and come away with me from this country. You shall love a lady who will love you in return." "I gladly will," said Sir Pellias. "Lady Ettarde has brought me nothing but shame and suffering." Then he told the Lady of the Lake the entire story, from beginning to end, and how he had planned to remain in bed until he died. "But now God has shown me such mercy that I hate her as much as I once loved her. Thanks be to our Lord Jesus Christ." "Thank me instead," said the Lady of the Lake. Then Sir Pellias put on his armor, mounted his horse, and ordered his servants to bring his tents and belongings wherever the Lady of the Lake directed. Lady Ettarde, however, died from grief and sorrow. The Lady of the Lake comforted Sir Pellias, and the two loved one another for the rest of their lives. Chapter 24. Now we return to Sir Marhaus, who rode southward with the maiden who was 30 years old. They entered a deep forest, and by chance night fell while they were still traveling. They rode a long time through dark and narrow paths. At last they came to a small manor house and asked for lodging, but the owner refused to let them stay, no matter what they said. However, the man added, "If you are willing to accept the adventure that comes with the lodging, I will bring you somewhere you may stay." "What adventure must I face for my lodging?" asked Sir Marhaus. "You will learn that when you arrive," said the man. "Whatever the adventure may be, take me there," said Sir Marhaus. "My maiden, my horse, and I are all weary." So the man opened the gate and led them away. Within an hour he brought them to a beautiful castle. the man called for the gatekeeper, and Sir Marhaus was admitted. Then the man informed the lord of the castle that he had brought a wandering knight and a maiden seeking shelter. "Let them enter," said the lord. "It may be that they will regret accepting lodging here." Sir Marhaus entered by torchlight. Inside were many noble young men who welcomed him. His horse was taken to the stable, and he and the maiden were brought into the great hall. There stood a powerful duke surrounded by many noble men. The duke asked, "What is your name? Where do you come from? And whom do you serve?" "Sir," replied Marhaus, "I am a knight of King Arthur and one of the knights of the Round Table. My name is Sir Marhaus, and I was born in Ireland." The duke frowned. "That grieves me greatly," he said. "And why?" asked Marhaus. "Because I hate your lord King Arthur and every one of his knights of the Round Table. Therefore enjoy yourself tonight as best you can, for tomorrow I and my 6 sons will fight against you." "Is there no other choice?" asked Sir Marhaus. "Must I face all 7 of you at once?" "No," said the duke. "There is no other choice. For Sir Gawain once killed my 7 sons during an encounter. Therefore I swore an oath that no knight of Arthur's court would ever stay in my house or come within my reach without my taking revenge for my sons' deaths." "What is your name, my lord?" asked Sir Marhaus. "If it pleases you, tell me." "Know this," said the duke. "I am the Duke of the South Marches." "Ah," said Sir Marhaus, "I have heard that you have long been an enemy of King Arthur and his knights. You shall feel that for yourself tomorrow," replied the duke. "Must I fight you as well?" asked Marhaus. "Yes," said the duke. "You have no choice. Now go to your chamber. You shall be provided with everything you need." So Sir Marhaus was led to his room, and the maiden was taken to hers. The next morning the duke sent word for Sir Marhaus to prepare himself. Marhaus rose, put on his armour, attended mass, ate breakfast, and mounted his horse in the castle courtyard where the battle would take place. There stood the duke, fully armed on horseback, with his 6 sons beside him. Each carried a spear. Then they charged at Sir Marhaus. The duke and 2 of his sons struck him so hard that their spears shattered against his armour, but Sir Marhaus held his own spear steady and did not strike any of them in return. Chapter 25. Then the remaining 4 sons came against Sir Marhaus in pairs. The first 2 broke their spears against him, and then the other 2 did the same. All this time Sir Marhaus did not strike a single one of them. Then Sir Marhaus charged straight at the duke, and struck him so hard with his spear that both horse and rider fell to the ground. He treated the duke's sons the same way, knocking them down as well. Afterward Sir Marhaus dismounted and said to the duke, "Surrender, or I will kill you." Some of the sons had recovered and were preparing to attack Sir Marhaus again. Then Sir Marhaus said, "Call off your sons, or I will do my worst against all of you." The duke saw that death was near and that he could not escape. So he cried out to his sons and ordered them to surrender. All of them knelt down and offered Sir Marhaus the pommels of their swords as a sign of submission. Sir Marhaus accepted their surrender. Then the sons helped their father to his feet. Together they agreed that they would never again be enemies of King Arthur. They also promised that at the next Pentecost they would come before Arthur and place themselves under his mercy and favour. Then Sir Marhaus departed. Within 2 days his maiden brought him to a great tournament announced by a lady called the Lady Divorce. The prize for the knight who performed best was a rich golden circlet worth 1,000 bezants. There Sir Marhaus fought so nobly that his fame spread everywhere. At times he unhorsed 40 knights. As a result, the golden circlet was awarded to him. He left the tournament with great honor and praise. Within a week, the maiden brought him to the lands of an earl named Fergus. This was the same Earl Fergus who would later become associated with Sir Tristram. The earl was still young and had only recently inherited his lands. Nearby lived a giant named Taulard. Taulard had a brother in Cornwall named Taulus, whom Sir Tristram would later kill during a period when Tristram had lost his reason. Earl Fergus complained to Sir Marhaus, "Sir, a giant lives near my lands and destroys everything. Because of him, I dare not ride or travel anywhere." Sir Marhaus asked, "Does he usually fight on horseback or on foot?" "On foot," said the earl. "No horse could carry such a giant." "Then I shall fight him on foot," said Sir Marhaus. The next morning Sir Marhaus asked for a guide to lead him to the giant. Soon he found the giant sitting beneath a holly tree. Around him lay many iron clubs and pole weapons. Sir Marhaus advanced with his shield raised. The giant grabbed an iron club and struck. With a single blow, he split Sir Marhaus's shield into 2 pieces. Sir Marhaus was in great danger, for the giant was a clever and experienced fighter. But eventually Sir Marhaus struck a mighty blow and cut off the giant's right arm above the elbow. The giant fled, and Sir Marhaus chased after him. The giant ran into a body of water, but he was so tall that he could wade through it, while Sir Marhaus could not follow. Then Sir Marhaus had one of Earl Fergus's men bring him stones. He hurled the stones at the giant again and again, striking him many hard blows. At last, the giant collapsed into the water and died there. Afterward, Sir Marhaus went to the giant's castle. There he freed 24 ladies and 12 knights who had been imprisoned. He also found enormous treasures, so much wealth that he was never poor again for the rest of his life. Then he returned to Earl Fergus. The earl thanked him greatly and even offered him half of his lands. But Sir Marhaus refused to take any of them. He remained with the earl for nearly 6 months because his battle with the giant had left him badly bruised and injured. At last he took his leave and rode away. While travelling, he met Sir Gawain and Sir Uwaine. Later, by chance, he encountered 4 knights from King Arthur's court: Sir Sagramore le Desireuse, Sir Ossana, Sir Dodinas le Savage, Sir Felot of Listinoise. Sir Marhaus charged them with a single spear and knocked down all 4 knights, wounding them badly. Afterward he continued on his journey so that he could arrive at the appointed place on the day agreed upon. Chapter 26. How Sir Uwaine rode with the old maiden and won the prize at a tournament. Now we return to Sir Uwaine, who rode westward with the maiden who was 60 years old. She led him to a tournament near the border of Wales. At that tournament, Sir Uwaine fought so well that he unhorsed 30 knights. Because of his great success, he was awarded the prize. The prize was a hunting falcon and a white horse covered with cloth of gold. Afterward, Sir Uwaine experienced many strange adventures with the help and guidance of the old maiden. Eventually she brought him to a noblewoman known as the Lady of the Rock, who was very kind and courteous. In that region there lived 2 brothers, both famous as dangerous knights. One was called Sir Edward of the Red Castle, and the other was called Sir Hugh of the Red Castle. These 2 brothers had wrongfully taken a large barony of land from the Lady of the Rock through force and oppression. While Sir Uwaine was staying with the lady, she told him about her troubles and complained of the injustice she had suffered. "Madam," said Sir Uwaine, "those knights are greatly at fault. They have acted against the noble order of knighthood and against the oath they swore as knights. If it pleases you, I will speak with them first. Since I am one of King Arthur's knights, I will try to persuade them fairly and peacefully. But if they refuse, I will fight them in defense of your rights." "Thank you," said the lady. "I cannot repay you, but God surely will." The next morning, messengers were sent to summon the 2 brothers so they could speak with the Lady of the Rock. And indeed, they came. but they arrived with 100 mounted men. When the lady saw how many armed followers they had brought, she refused to allow Sir Gawain to leave the castle and meet them face to face, no matter what promises of safety they offered. Instead, she had Sir Gawain speak to them from the top of a tower. Even after much discussion, the two brothers would not listen to reason. They declared that they intended to keep the lands they had taken. "Well," said Sir Gawain, "then I will fight one of you, and prove that you are wrongfully holding this lady's property." "We will not agree to that," they replied. "If there is to be a battle, both of us will fight against one knight together. If you are willing to face us both at once, we shall be ready at whatever time you choose. And if you defeat us in battle, the lady shall receive her lands back." "You have spoken fairly," said Sir Gawain. "Then prepare yourselves, and tomorrow be here to defend your claim against the lady's rightful cause." Chapter 27. Both sides agreed to a formal truce and gave their word that no treachery would be used by either party. Then the two brothers left and prepared themselves for battle. That night Sir Gawain was treated with great honor and hospitality. The next morning he rose early, attended mass, ate breakfast, and rode out to the open field beyond the castle gates. There the two brothers were waiting for him. They charged together with great force. Sir Edward and Sir Hugh both shattered their spears against Sir Gawain. But Sir Gawain struck Sir Edward so hard that he was thrown over the back of his horse, and Gawain's spear remained unbroken. Then Gawain spurred his horse forward and struck Sir Hugh, knocking him from his horse as well. The two brothers quickly got back to their feet. They raised their shields, drew their swords, and called to Sir Gawain, "Dismount and fight us to the end!" At once Sir Gawain jumped from his horse, raised his shield, drew his sword, and advanced toward them. Then the three knights fought fiercely. They exchanged terrible blows, and the two brothers wounded Sir Gawain so badly that the Lady of the Rock feared he would die. For 5 hours they battled like men driven beyond reason. At last Sir Gawain struck Sir Edward a mighty blow on the helmet. The sword cut down through the helmet and into his collarbone. Sir Edward fell dead. When Sir Hugh saw his brother killed, his courage failed him. Still, Sir Gawain pressed forward, intending to finish the fight. Seeing this, Sir Hugh dropped to his knees and surrendered. Sir Gawain, showing mercy and courtesy, accepted his surrender. He took Sir Hugh's sword, helped him to his feet, and led him into the castle. The Lady of the Rock was overjoyed. Sir Hugh, however, mourned deeply for his dead brother. The lady was restored to all the lands that had been taken from her, and Sir Hugh was ordered to appear before King Arthur at the next feast of Pentecost. Sir Gawain remained with the Lady of the Rock for nearly 6 months, because his wounds were so severe that it took a long time for him to recover fully. As the agreed day approached, the day when Sir Gawain, Sir Marhaus, and Sir Gawain were to meet again at the crossroads, each knight made his way there to keep the promise they had sworn a year earlier. Sir Marhaus and Sir Gawain each brought the maiden who had guided them on their adventures, but Sir Gawain came alone, for he had lost his maiden, as the story has already told. Chapter 28. At the end of the year, the three knights met once more at the fountain, just as they had promised. Their 3 maidens were with them. However, the maiden who had travelled with Sir Gawain could say very little in praise of him because of the way he had treated Sir Pelleas and Lady Ettard. After meeting, the knights parted from the maidens and rode together through a great forest. There they met a messenger from King Arthur. The messenger had spent nearly a full year searching throughout England, Wales, and Scotland for Sir Gawain and Sir Gawain. He carried the king's command that if he ever found them, he was to bring them back to court. The knights were very glad to hear this. They asked Sir Marhaus to return with them to King Arthur's court. He agreed. Within 12 days they arrived at Camelot. King Arthur was overjoyed to see them again, and so was everyone at court. The king then made them swear upon a holy book that they would truthfully tell all the adventures that had happened to them during the past year. They did so. Sir Marhaus became especially well known at court, because many knights there had fought against him before. He was widely recognized as one of the finest knights alive. At the Feast of Pentecost, the Lady of the Lake arrived at court and brought Sir Pelleas with her. During the great tournament held at the feast, Sir Pelleas proved to be the best knight present and won the highest prize. Sir Marhaus was judged second best. Sir Pelleas was so powerful in combat that very few knights could withstand even a single blow from his spear. At that same feast, Sir Pelleas and Sir Marhaus were both made Knights of the Round Table. 2 seats had become vacant because 2 knights had been killed during the previous year. King Arthur was greatly pleased to welcome both Sir Pelleas and Sir Marhaus into the fellowship of the Round Table. Yet Sir Pelleas never again truly loved or trusted Sir Gawain. He spared him only out of respect for King Arthur. Often at tournaments and jousts, Sir Pelleas took revenge upon Sir Gawain by defeating him whenever the opportunity arose. So, the French book says, later, many years afterward, Sir Marhaus fought Sir Tristram on an island. They fought a mighty battle. In the end, Sir Tristram killed Sir Marhaus, but Sir Tristram himself was so badly wounded in the fight that he almost died. He spent half a year recovering at a convent of nuns. Sir Pelleas became a noble and honored knight. He was one of the 4 knights who successfully achieved the quest of the Holy Grail, the Sangreal. The Lady of the Lake also used her influence to keep Sir Pelleas from ever fighting Sir Lancelot. Whenever Lancelot was attending a tournament or joust, she would not allow Sir Pelleas to be there that day, unless Sir Pelleas was fighting on Lancelot's side. Thus ended the adventures of Sir Gawain, Sir Marhaus, and Sir Uwaine during the year of their quest. You're listening to Classics Made Clear, classic texts translated with accuracy and accessibility for today's listener. Please like, subscribe, leave a comment, and share these videos with your friends.